Qiang Jin Jiu. Book 1, I Was an Outcast Liege. Chapter 73, Conferment. Xiao Qiye did not accept the imperial edict. Fu Man did not dare to persuade him further and went hurriedly back to the palace to make his report. After hearing the whole story, Liege leapt to his feet and exclaimed, "Is the Son of Heaven's orders something he can reject as he pleases? When Zhen give him reward, he should kneel and accept it. Go again." As he grumbled to himself, Fu Man climbed onto the horse again and returned to Xiao Qiye's residence. Seeing Xiao Qiye was still kneeling, he hurriedly held the imperial edict and vowed to persuade him, "Viceroy! Viceroy! Why are you doing this? Didn't we roll and crawl down there in the ditches all for this?" With a hint of displeasure on his face, Xiao Qiye said, "I don't want this noble rank. Don't bother wasting your breath on me." Fu Man was so anxious and desperate that he stomped his foot where he stood. It was not possible for him to accept the edict on behalf of Xiao Qiye. All he could do was to find something to delay time. Then let him keep kneeling. Back at the palace, Liege promptly flew into a rage when he heard the reply. "In order to grant him this reward, I even rebuffed the Secretariat elder, and he still dares to put on airs. Let him kneel." So, the sovereign and his minister, one within the palace and the other outside of it, remained stuck in a deadlock. At present, it was the third lunar month in spring, and the ground was still icy cold all over. Xiao Qiye kneeled with his back straight, showing his determination to get Liege to revoke this imperial decree. Perhaps he could have accepted the edict and then used other means to handle this matter in a better way, but he was not willing to do so. The Lu clan in Qidong was held in check by the Qi clan at the top and invaded by Bianxia at the bottom. Liege had went after an easier target when he trampled upon Lu Pinjian because the Lu clan was not on par with the Qi and Xiao clans. The food and clothing expenditures of those 20,000 troops of the Bianxia commandery were all under the imperial court's control. They did not even have military fields. Otherwise, the Lu clan would not have to stoop so low as to demand payment every year, or be so poor that they had to sell their own family properties and belongings. In the past, when Lu Guangbai entered the capital to make his report, he was never taken seriously. Which lowly official in the capital would have such audacity? They were all merely taking their cues from those higher than them. When Emperor Xiand was around, it was rare for Lu Guangbai to be able to seek an audience with the emperor. This was not simply a matter of him being liked or detested, but because it concerned the balance of Qidong's military power. The Xiao and Qi were both great generals stationed at the frontiers. Why did the Hua clan have to guard against the Prince of Liege alone and go to so much trouble in order to trap Xiao Qiye in Chu capital? Because the Xiao clan was the only dominant force in Liege Great Commandery. There was no other Liege in the entire territory that could reign in the Xiao clan, so they could only tie up Xiao Qiye and caged him in order to restrain the Liege armored cavalry. Qidong had two generals, Qi Xiu and Lu Pinjian, who were on par with one another back in those days. But why was Qi Xiu eventually the one who was conferred with the title of the five commanderies commander-in-chief? This was all because Lu Pinjian and Xiao Fangxiu were on close terms with one another. They were even in fact, in-laws. The Lu clan was the key piece that provided checks and balances to the power between the three parties. The Lu clan's position in the Bianjun commandery was crucial. It was a heavy responsibility entrusted to them by the imperial court. But even so, the imperial court did not generously bestow titles and ranks upon them. This was meant to hold the Lu clan within their control and let the Lu clan be held in check by both the Qi clan and the imperial court. The Lu clan could only be a weapon used to fight the foreign enemies. There was no way they could be high-ranking provincial officials with military authority at the borders. Moreover, they could never be allowed to become another like the Prince of Liege. At present, Lu Guangbai had to consult Qi Ziyan for the use of troops and consult the Ministry of War and Ministry of Revenue in Chu capital when it comes to fundings. Lu Guangbai was the commanding general in charge of the Bianjun commandery's defenses. If Qiang had not been generous in delegating authority and gave him the prerogative to self-deploy troops in times of peril, then he would be in even more of a predicament than he was at present. This time, Liege advanced Lu Pingjian's noble rank, yet there was no actual promotion taking place. Thus, the Lu clan could only perpetually remain like hungry cattle and continue to work to their deaths at the Bianjun commandery. Their reputation had gone up a notch on the surface, but it was actually an insult deep down. Half of the Lu clan's current difficulties had to do with the Xiao clan. Therefore, Xiao Qiye could not, and must not accept the edict without so much as this gesture. The fact that the imperial edict could be issued made it clear that the Grand Secretariat had given his agreement to this. In that case, it was certain that this order would not be revoked, and there was also no reason for the Son of Heaven to change his order. However, Xiao Qiye definitely must not accept it with great delight. Even if he had to kowtow and act unreasonably, or even throw a tantrum, he had to clearly show the Lu clan his stance about this. It was by virtue of power and might that Li Jianheng could trample all over the Lu clan, because the imperial court had the Lu family in their grasp. In contrast, it was by virtue of friendship that the Xiao clan did not dare to do the same, because both families had always considered the other as brother. If this close relationship was ruined, then the Xiao clan would lose their cooperation in defending the southeast. Xiao Qiye kneeled until it was dark. Fu Man did not dare to sit down arbitrarily and stood at the side with the imperial edict in his hands. After an unspecified amount of time, they heard the sound of hurried footsteps from the entrance. A eunuch arrived and conveyed the orders in an urgent tone. "Viceroy, you may stop kneeling. Please get up. His Majesty summons you for an audience." Without demurring, Xiao Qiye lifted the hem of his robe to get up and got onto his horse to leave. Fu Man hurriedly got onto his horse as well, not daring to grumble when he saw that Xiao Qiye was not showing any signs of exhaustion. Mingli Hall was brightly illuminated. Li Jianheng sat on the dragon throne and listened as someone announced Xiao Qiye's arrival. However, he did not give Xiao Qiye permission to enter, as he remained seated to trace characters. Without being ordered explicitly, Xiao Qiye could not enter, so he could only kneel outside the Mingli Hall. It was already late and the leftover cold water on the freshly scrubbed floor dampened his robe. The entire courtyard of eunuchs moved quietly, not daring to make a sound. Li Jianheng stared blankly at the glazed lamp. He had been thinking a lot in this silent night. By the time he returned to his senses, it was already the hour of Zhou. He sat for a moment, then he suddenly rose to his feet and walked out. The palace maids withdrew and the eunuchs kneeled on the ground. The shadows on the ground were trodden upon as Xiao Qiye did not lift his head. Li Jianheng looked down at Xiao Qiye. In the past, he was always looking up at Xiao Qiye. When they were hanging out on the streets together, he even considered Xiao Qiye as his big brother. They called each other best friends, and fooled together a lot, too. Li Jianheng thought he treated Xiao Qiye with his utmost sincerity. How did they get to where they were today? Li Jianheng was dressed in a bright yellow, round-necked robe with narrow sleeves. With his hands on the amber belt on his waist, he moved over to Xiao Qiye's side and looked at the luminous moon above the majestic palace eaves. He mulled over for a moment and then spoke, "There's no one else here at the moment. Let's talk." The cold moonlight cast a blanket over them, effusing a chill along with the wind. Li Jianheng said, "Aren't you usually the bold one? To think that giving you a noble rank this time can scare you to such an extent." Xiao Qiye said, "It's incompatible with reason and intolerable under the law." Li Jianheng paced and said, "Don't give me that. You have never been one to talk about reason. Before the Nanlin hunting grounds incident, we were still good brothers who would risk our lives for one another. After the Nanlin hunting grounds incident, we truly became the monarch and his minister, separated by a huge rift. Xian, isn't it good for me to be the emperor and for you to be the viceroy? Why do you have to put on a front with me like this?" Just accept the rewards you are being awarded with. Cowering like this is really unlike you, Xiao Xian. Xiao Qiye could tell what he meant and said, if your majesty wants to reward me with gold and treasures, I'll promptly kowtow and say my thanks, but not a noble rank. I've served as an official for 6 years, and I do not have any notable achievements or merits worth mentioning in the Chu capital to show for or to speak of. I feel uneasy now that I have received your majesty's kindness and become a marquis at a sudden snap of a finger. What's there to be uneasy about? Liege Unhung scoffed. With our relationship, you should have been conferred a title a long time ago. The Grand Secretariat interferes with my every move, picking on anything and everything I do. I never had a chance to do this, no. This time, you've earned it. Earlier, when Lu Pinjian was conferred a title, it was also because he had effectively resisted and repelled the Bianchi cavalry at the border. You protected the emperor in Chu capital, and with that, you ensured the safety of our empire and society. I see no difference between them. There's no need to rush this since the Grand Secretariat has qualms about this. Xiao Qiye said, we can't hurt the old officials' feelings. The older ones are always thick-headed and obstinate. Liege Unhung said, how can they be so inflexible? Even those in the flesh trade know when to be flexible and read the situation. But these major ministers are still holding on to old things. How very meaningless. After this scare, I thought about a lot of things during my recuperation. Since I've become the emperor, it's not productive if I just keep crying and whining. We have to find some way to live on, right? I'm not an unreasonable man. Just voice it out if there is good reason to, it's not like I'll execute them. Like this time, I want to confer a title upon you, but the Secretariat elder didn't agree and led the others to make a scene before me, saying that I was hasty and sloppily making decisions. I was so troubled over this matter that I spent nights tossing and turning, and they still say I'm hasty. Liege Unhung turned back as he was speaking, and the gold dragon on his crown flashed in the moonlight, giving him an imposing air of elegance and nobility. He did not tell Xiao Qiye to rise. After a long pause, he continued. I'm the emperor, I can't renege on my word. Since the edict has been made, you just have to accept it. You've already rebuffed me once today, but we are brothers, so I won't hold it against you. But if you continue to be so stubborn with me again, then it won't be something that can be settled between brothers, and neither of us will look good for it. Do you understand? Xiao Qiye was silent for a moment before he said, Your Majesty, that won't do. The inspection is around the corner. It's a good thing to advance old General Lu's noble rank. After all, he deserves it, but I don't. It's for your Majesty's reputation that I'm not accepting it. I'm someone your Majesty single-handedly promoted. If I can't convince the masses of the things I am capable of doing, then how can I still attend to official duties on your Majesty's behalf in the future? Those who are in charge of military troops are all concerned about their reputation and dignity. If you give this dignity to old General Lu by showing him due respect, then I will subsequently come to benefit by association, too. Are you making up all kinds of excuses to decline for my sake or for the sake of the Xiao clan? Do you really think I don't understand just because you didn't say it? Liege Unhung stared at him. We are brothers who should treat each other with frankness and sincerity. Yet you keep treating me like a fool. It's for the sake of our friendship that I'm rewarding you, but you turned it down for your own selfish desire. I told you to be honest with me, and yet, you are still beating around the bush with me. Xiao Qiye, don't you have a conscience? This question Liege Unhung bellowed was so forceful that it faintly reverberated through the cold, dreary night. You're afraid of offending Lu Pinjian. Why is that? Liege Unhung suddenly flung his sleeves. And you still dare to say you're loyal to me? You are doing it all for yourself. You don't dare to say it, so I'll say it for you. You're afraid of offending Lu Pinjian and ruining the friendship between both your clans, which would make it hard for you to mutually look out for each other. But let me ask you, the Xiao clan and Lu clan both have their own respective military forces to defend the borders, so what is there that you need to look out for each other for? Xiao Qiye tightened his fists, with his thumb ring jammed in the area between his thumb and forefinger. All of you are wolves and tigers. Liege Unhung pointed at Xiao Qiye. You people have your minds set on Chu capital. I was merely sounding you out, and you showed your true colors. Military powers cooperated up with one another, and the Xiao clan wants to be in the same faction as the Lu clan, and then what's next? Tell me, what are you going to do? Xiao Qiye abruptly half-propped himself up. He had a well-built physique, and kneeling on one knee like this made him seem as if he was a panther ready to spring into an attack. Liege Unhung immediately took a few steps back and looked at him, badly shaken. Of course it's to do those Biancha Baldies in. Xiao Qiye's expression was fierce as he looked at Liege Unhung. 6 years ago, when the Zongbo troops were defeated, my eldest brother rode non-stop throughout the night to come to the emperor's rescue. How dangerous that battle at Tse province was. Meanwhile, Lu Guangbai held his spear in hand and a dagger in his mouth and fought for 3 nights before he could break through the siege. He immediately hurried over to Chu capital without even stopping to rest to help the capital out of their predicament. Everything your majesty had said today is an affront to the Xiao and Lu clan's loyalty. That's right, the reason I'm not accepting the noble rank today is because of Lu Pinjian, but even more because of the unwavering loyalty of the various generals at the frontiers. It's all because of your majesty's kindness that the Xiao Xian, a good-for-nothing, could live in the Chu capital without having to worry about my own life and death, nor stress about heading out to war. If I could even become a high and mighty marquis with just this, then what would Commander Qi and General Lu, both of whom are still enduring hardships at the frontiers, think? After saying so much, you are obviously just doing it to avoid tainting your own reputation. Xiao Qiye's words were firm and resounding. My life is worthless, but your majesty is the ruler of our prosperous lands. If you were to reward me because of this small bit of contribution and it ends up diminishing the general's loyalty to your majesty, who would lose out more? Is it me, or your majesty? Liege Unhung looked hesitant and doubtful. Xiao Qiye refused to let this go and continued. If this is merely a show I put on to collude with the Lu clan, why did Secretariat Elder Hai try so hard to convince your majesty? Your majesty, you don't trust me, but don't you trust the Hai Lianji whom the late emperor appointed and who has come to the emperor's rescue 3 times? Your majesty has repeatedly met with danger and misfortune, and immediately right after, you are disproportionately giving out rewards. Whoever it is that's instigating and abetting your majesty ought to be executed. It was as if Liege Unhung was suddenly jolted to his senses. He retreated under the eaves, held onto the vermilion pillar for support, and said, but the imperial edict has already been issued. Your majesty is the sovereign of a new reign and imperial court. It was inappropriate to bestow rewards during the state mourning period earlier. But now that the 2 great imperial affairs of spring plowing and inspection are in full swing, why not seize the chance to proclaim a general amnesty to the world and reward the various generals at the frontiers according to the merit evaluation from the Ministry of War? It's not just permissible to advance Lu Pinjian to the rank of Marquis of Biancha. On the basis of the Lu clan's most number of enemy kills at the Bianjun commandery, they should be rewarded again with an increase of military provisions. Zhuexi had an excess harvest last year and their granaries are filled to the brim. This would not only write off the state treasury's additional expenditure on giving away monetary rewards, but would also relieve the Bianjun commandery of their pressing needs. The wedding of old Commander Qi is fast approaching. Your Majesty, if you also reward and confer third young Miss Hua with the title of Commandery Princess, then you'd be raising Qidong's prestige. Xiao Qiye's words were earnest, and his gaze, frank. You are the sovereign of a great empire, the one ruler of all under the world. Who would still harbor any discontent when you bestowed such grace and favor all around? When Emperor Xian descended to the throne, the Empress Dowager was the one making the decisions for him, and consequently, he missed his opportunity to show his capability during his reign. The most pressing issue to Liege now was to prove himself as an emperor. He was suspicious and reacted to another's instigation only because he was afraid of being declared unworthy of his position. Xiao Qiye's words simply pushed all his right buttons. All right, with delight on his face, Liege came down again to move towards Xiao Qiye. Fine. Ian, get up quickly. It's cold on the ground. Fu Man, who was kneeling at the bottom, listened with marvel. Who would have thought that in just a few hours, Xiao Qiye would be able to seize the opportunity to deal a counter-attack and avert the crisis? If not for him having a firm grasp on Li Jianheng's temperament and mindset, he would never have been able to hit things right on the target in just one blow. The more he thought about it, the more elated he was. There's hope for him if he threw in his lot with second young master Xiao. End chapter. Note, hour of Zhou is 1 to 3 a.m. Qiang Jin Jiu. Book 1, I Was an Outcast Liege. Chapter 74, Exchanging of Toast. The second month of the lunar year was crucial for planting mulberry and flax in spring. The various localities hurried to submit their reports and urge the Ministry of Revenue to allocate funds. With mountains of trivial affairs piling up, the various departments were so busy that they were burned out from exhaustion. Li Jianheng gave out various rewards and conferment, with Xiao Qiye being conferred the title of the Marquis of Dingdu. Meanwhile, Shen Zequan received a skip in grade and was promoted to a third-rank vice-commander. He also concurrently took up the portfolio of the Northern Judge and began to take charge of the imperial prison. The Grand Secretariat initially did not agree to this, but Sen Yu submitted a memorial to make of recommendation with strong justifications. Hai Lianji also saw Shen Zequan in a new light because of the epidemic incident, so it was agreed on and decided. Xiao Qiye carried the earring case on him, but he never found the opportunity to come across with Shen Zequan. Shen Zequan was always on the move all over the imperial prison, having to go through all the cases that have accumulated before the new year one at a time. He was so busy that he even had to skip on sleep and meals. On the other side, he still had to get Jiao Tianya to lie in wait and keep a watch on Shi Hongxian so that he could find a way to get Ji Huilian and Ji Gang back. Young swallows made a ruckus on roof beams while young shoots of weeping willows sprouted. The vermilion walls and green glazed tiles of Chu capital gradually showed as the weather remained clear and sunny for several days in a row. On the day when spring rain fell uninterrupted, Sen Yu hosted a feast and invited a few friends from the latest incident. Hai Lianji was not one to attend such private banquets, and it just happened that he had yet to recover from his illness, so he did not participate in the feast. By the time Shen Zequan arrived, it was already late. He was led straight to the main hall. When he lifted the curtain and saw that it was full of officials whose faces were familiar to him. Han Chan, Kong Qiu, and Sen Yu shared a table. Xiao Qiye already had his third round of wine and was listening with propped arms to Yu Xiaoze, whose seat was at the bottom, telling jokes to an entire hall of important ministers. The moment Shen Zequan entered, Yu Xiaoze hurriedly paid his obeisances and greeted him. "Your Excellency is late. Please hurry and have a seat at the head of the table." Shen Zequan removed his cloak and said with a smile, "There's much to do in the imperial prison, so I'd like to ask all of your excellencies to please bear with me. I'll sit at the bottom." Sen Yu stood up and beckoned to him, saying, "Those etiquettes for public display won't work at private banquets. Once you are here, we are all friends despite of our age differences. So why still stand on ceremony? Lao Han, you tell him." Han Cheng said, "It's as he said. Lanzhou, come on up and sit here. The few of us old and useless ones have the honor of being in the company of the Marquis today, too. Your lordship, you could be said to have lowered yourself for us. Commander-in-Chief, what you're doing is putting me down." Xiao Qiye seemed to be a little drunk already. He did not look at Shen Zequan and merely smiled. "Who amongst present here is not a respected elder? I'll still have to look to all of you for advice in the future." Shenzhen had already taken his seat, which was a little distance away from Xiao Qiye across the table where he would be able to reach the ladder if he stretched out his legs. Both men did not look at each other, nor did they greet one another. Kong Qiu looked left and right at the two of them and said with a smile, "I've long heard that the two of you have grudges with each other. Why won't you even say a word on meeting each other? You worked on this assignment together and in my opinion, everything seemed good. So, why still take those past grudges to heart? The way I see it, both of you are young and promising upstarts, and you don't deflect the responsibility to each other when you're working together. So, why not take the chance today to bury the hatchet with a smile?" As Sen Yu spoke, he raised his hands. The Jin Yue and the Imperial Army have to mutually look out for each other, too. There are plenty of opportunities for both of you to continue working together in the future. Your lordship, what do you think? Would that do? Xiao Qiye lazily cast a look at Shenzhen. His gaze was indecipherable. He only said, "How would it not do for me? What is there that I can't do with a smile for His Excellency the Judge? I should say my proper thanks to His Excellency for this time, too. When have I never greeted your lordship with a smile every time I see your lordship?" Shenzhen touched the wine cup. "I've long forgotten the past. It's just that there has been no opportunity before, isn't it?" Han Cheng was the one who had the most drinks with Xiao Qiye. On seeing this, he picked up his chopsticks again and said as he picked out the food, "Then, let's have a drink. Your lordship, please do me the favor." Yu Xiaoze, who had not sat all this while, promptly filled both of their cups to the brim with wine. Xiao Qiye held his cup with both hands and said without getting up, "Then, let's toast." Going by their official ranks, it was indeed the case that Xiao Qiye should not get up. Shenzhen stood up, revealing his wrist bones as he lifted his cup. Xiao Qiye suddenly said, "Since this is wine to settle old grudges, then it naturally can't be drunk in such a common way. Judge, how about a nuptial exchange of matrimony wine?" Han Cheng promptly laughed. He pointed at Xiao Qiye and shook his head as he said with a sigh, "Your lordship, that's very unethical. Why put Lanzhou in such a spot? How is this putting him in a spot?" Xiao Qiye said, "I can't even begin to love and honor him. Aren't we doing all this as an expression of our determination?" Knowing Xiao Qiye's temper, Sen Yu thought that Xiao Qiye was still harboring animosity over Zongbo and that he was intentionally making things difficult for Shenzhen. Just as he was prepared to speak up to dissuade Xiao Qiye, Shenzhen laughed. "All right," Shenzhen said. "We'll do as his lordship says." Shenzhen held up the cup and leaned over, where Xiao Qiye could see his faintly discernible collarbone. The two men have their arms intertwined. As Shenzhen drank the wine, the jut on his throat throbbed. Xiao Qiye's gaze seemed to let out a gurgle, too, as it followed the wine down into that robe. Xiao Qiye drank very slowly. He held the wine in his mouth, his gaze never once leaving Shenzhen. All the time his arm was hooked around Shenzhen's arm where Shenzhen could clearly feel his sturdiness. Xiao Qiye seemed to let out a laugh when he finished drinking, but no one heard it except for Shenzhen, who lowered his eyes to look at him. His gaze was naked, and brimming over with dangerous desire. Shenzhen extracted his arm and sat back, his back dripping with sweat. Xiao Qiye seemed unfazed as he put up his arms again and inclined his head to listen to the conversation. Sen Yu said, "After the spring plowing, it'll be the spring examinations. The Imperial Academy wants to recruit new talents this year. Looks like the Ministry of Revenue will be getting another headache." Kong Qiu snorted a laughter and said, "What is there for Wei Huigo to complain about? He's the money keeper. He ought to compute them. To begin with, all these should have been suitably arranged way earlier. For him to wait until now to do so is already considered a dereliction of duty. He's the money keeper and you're the living king of hell." Han Cheng set down his chopsticks. Having had his fill of wine and meal, he continued, Zhongbo is in such a mess at present, and the number of cases submitted to the Ministry of Justice is as innumerable as the number of hairs on an ox. It won't do for them to keep delaying sending someone over to take charge of the situation over there, would it? I think the Secretariat Elder is mulling over whom to send over. Sen Yu lamented. If Lan Zhou formally joins the central administration as an official, then he might have a chance this time. Whether it was due to the heat or the wine, Shen Zequin's face had turned a little red. He said, I can't. I'm not qualified and experienced enough to be assigned out of the capital. I won't be able to quell the unrest. Just gain more experience and it'll be fine. With his interest piqued, Han Cheng said, it is said that officials from the capital are wily, but how can the officials in the capital be as slippery and sly as the local officials? Some years ago, I went down with the Chief Surveillance Bureau to check the accounts, and all those capital lords and old masters were all very crafty and cunning. There were 2 copies of all the account books in their residences. Even if you, Sen Sunyi, went there, you would not be able to distinguish the real accounts from the fake ones. Every year, when the imperial envoy heads down to their territory, there would be a great flurry of activities. Having long heard the news about the envoys, they would drive out all the disaster victims and refugees in their territories before their arrival to prevent them from seeing those. This is the so-called no-hunger concern in the territory that was indicated in the evaluations. Once the envoys arrived, they would hold a banquet and think up reasons to dunk the envoys with wine, who would then drink until daybreak and sleep until nightfall. They'd be so drunk that they can't even stride out of the prefectural yamen. So, what energy would they still have to check the accounts? Once the time is up, and the silver is in the pockets, the evaluation would be marked as outstanding. Then it's off to the next place to drink, and that would be considered as the end of the inspection. But there are still those who do their jobs properly. You can't taint them all with the same brush. With that, Sen Yu sighed again. When Shuizai's woe went down a few years ago, he was a formidable sight to behold. All the accounts of the 13 cities of Juexi were sorted out in perfect order without a single error. I originally thought he would be assigned to the Ministry of Revenue, but who would have expected that the Secretariat Elder would transfer him to the Court of Judicial Review instead? Can he get anywhere by being Wei Huigo's subordinate? Kong Qiu leaned against the chair. The current Vice Minister of the Ministry of Revenue exists in name only. Wei Huigo alone makes the decisions and has the final say in the overall management of financial affairs. Won't he be rendered useless if he goes over there? The Secretariat Elder has the intent to polish him. He's meant to achieve great things in the future. Kong Qiu never had any social dealings with Wei Huigo and Pan Xiangjia. Everyone knew that his cordial relationship with them was merely superficial and was never any deeper than that. So, he was not afraid to speak out in Han Cheng's presence. Han Cheng laughed out loud and said, "Don't discuss state affairs at a private feast. How can you forget this? Lao Kong, you ought to be punished." Thinking that they were almost done with their meals, Sen Yu said, "When Yujing returned a few days back, he told me about a game. It still seems early to me, so why don't we give it a try? Yujing, take those cards of yours out." Yu Xiaoze, whose courtesy name is Yujing, readily agreed in response. He took out a wooden box, opened it to take out small carved wooden cards and said, "This is something this humble subordinate saw others were playing when I went to Yanji Harbor for supervision and inspection, matching cards to pair couplets. Your Excellencies, give it a try." Han Cheng said to Xiao Qi, "Yeah, I'm not good at playing literary games like these. Your Lordship, how about giving me some advice?" Xiao Qi Ye drank his wine and said, "Does the Commander-in-Chief think so highly of the Xiao Xian? Do I look like a man who reads? It's just for fun. Let's just go along with it. Yujing, deal the cards." Yu Xiaoze dealt the three of them the cards. Fiddling with his wine cup, Xiao Qiye was just looking at the cards when something brushed against his calf. He paused suddenly and fixed his gaze on Han Cheng's cards. Han Cheng looked at his cards with a frown and said, "The heck are these flowers and plants putting me in a spot? Your lordship, do you recognize this?" Xiao Qi said, "Throw them both a line based on the foxtail grass." "I guarantee." That foot with a clean sock tapped Xiao Qi's knee and its sole stepped on his kneecap, as if testing the position. "Guarantee that they'll be stumped." Han Cheng tossed a card out and said with a smile, "The swallow teases the foxtail, spring arrives." I randomly made up the first line of a couplet. "So now, Sun Yi, pair it up." Han Cheng was truly not a learned man, but he did not let it hold him back. Upon hearing this, Kong Qiu and Sen Yu laughed. While the three men were talking, Xiao Qi cast a look at Shen Zequan. Shen Zequan grasped his fan, a little Moso bamboo fan that Xiao Qi had sent someone to deliver to him. He tapped the fan intermittently and listened intently to the conversation. As if sensing Xiao Qi's eyes on him, the corners of his eyes lifted in a little smile. That foot had already slid in between Xiao Qi's legs. It nudged against the inside of his thigh, as if wanting to do more. Xiao Qi held the wine cup with his thumb pressed against the rim as he remained motionless. "Isn't it a fox?" After a while, Xiao Qi let out a laugh. He lifted his hand to pick out an ink-traced fox from Han Cheng's cards and tossed it onto the table. "Moist is the night as the rain seeps through my roof, sultry is the fox's song in my dream. Where to seek the tide of spring? That wet, persistent drip is the hint." Apologies for the obscenity. Han Cheng exchanged toasts with Xiao Qi, then laughed and said, "We are being serious here, but why is it that you just had to turn a fox into a vixen when it's your turn?" A foot reached out from under the table. Its toe slowly slid up Xiao Qi's calf, playing back and forth a few times along the curve of his calf. "But men like me," Xiao Qi drank his wine and looked at Shen Zequan. "Simply attract foxes. How is any respectable person able to continue with that? It's too crude." Kong Qiu laughed and sighed. "Xiao Xian, you don't even close the door tight when you sleep and you still blame the others for looking for you. You're obviously looking forward to it yourself, right?" Xiao Qi did not say a word, but when that foot stepped down on him gently, he laughed. The upper half of Shen Zequan's body was so steady that nothing seemed off. He rubbed his fingertips, which had been tapping on the fan. In this room full of heat, even the corners of his eyes were about to redden. At that moment, it just so happened that Sen Yu threw the card onto the ground. Yu Xiaozhe quickly stopped what he was doing and made to lean over to pick it up. Shen Zequan prepared to retract his foot, but unexpectedly enough, Xiao Qi reached his hand down to grab hold of his ankle. His soul was stepping on Xiao Qi's unmentionable spot through the fabric. Xiao Qi slipped two fingers into the clean sock and stroked Shen Zequan. Shen Zequan's fan rested on the tabletop. Yu Xiaozhe had already lifted the hem of his robe and his waist was already slightly bending over as he said, "Your Excellencies, please lift your legs. Let this humble subordinate see where it has dropped to." Xiao Qi was not the slightest bit flustered as he steadily grasped onto Shen Zequan's ankle. He exerted a little force with his thumb, caressing Shen Zequan until Shen Zequan felt a tingle of numbness run up his spine and he tightened his grip on his fan. End chapter. Note: 1. Exchange of nuptial cups, a formal exchange of cups of wine between bride and groom as traditional wedding ceremony, a toast in which one links one's arm with their partner to drink from one's cup of wine. 2. Imperial examination, which usually took place in the spring. Qiang Jin Jiu. Book 1, I Was an Outcast Liege. Chapter 75, Night Ride. Yu Xiaozhe held the hem of his robe up and was about to squat down when Xiao Qi let his wine cup drop. Han Cheng, being near, ended up having his robe dirted. Yu Xiaozhe left the cards and went to get a handkerchief for Han Cheng to clean himself. Sen Yu was still squinting at his cards when the wine splashed him. He hastily tried to dodge it too, making Kong Qiu laugh loudly. Han Cheng tugged at his robe and said to Xiao Qi, "Your lordship have had too much to drink, even your hands are unsteady now. Xiao Qiye raised his hand in apology and said, apologies, I'll get someone to send you a replacement tomorrow as compensation. There's no need. Just how much is a set of robes worth? How could Han Cheng really let Xiao Qiye compensate him? He did not even dare to pull a long face as he said with a smile, we'll treat this cup as a toast from your lordship. Shenzhequan had already withdrawn his foot by this time. It was him who leaned over and picked up the card from the floor. As he placed it on the table, he heard Xiao Qiye laughing. The lingering warmth on his ankle where Xiao Qiye had squeezed grew hotter amidst the laughter. Kong Qiu was already drunk. He looked completely opposite of how he usually did when he was in court as he struck a porcelain cup with his chopsticks and sang out incomprehensible lyrics alone in this unruly liveries. Upon seeing Kong Qiu stir up such an improper and unsightly ruckus, Sen Yu tugged on his sleeve and said, Baran, stop singing. Let's go home and sleep. You still need to sit in Shi Hongxuan's trial the day after tomorrow. Kong Qiu held up his cup and struck it with increasing glee as he said, I remember that. I'm investigating him. Sen Yu could not keep a hold of him and said, thankfully, I was the one who invited you to the feast today, or else you would be impeached for sure for behaving in such an audacious, unrestrained manner. All right then, let them impeach. Kong Qiu said, let them impeach. Imperial censors ought to have the courage to speak. Right, well said. Han Cheng also laughed. Before spring, we were saddled with such a massive pile of work that we could scarcely breathe. How many times could we enjoy ourselves to the fullest? Let him enjoy himself to his heart's content. It's almost time to wind down. If we make a ruckus too late into the night, the Secretariat Elder won't be happy with us. Xiao Qiye got to his feet and called to Chen Yang, send His Excellency Kong back in my horse carriage. The attendants swarmed all around, and Chen Yang helped Kong Qiu out the door. Sen Yu wiped away his hot sweat and said to the remaining men, you don't know this, but Baran was also once an unconventional and uninhibited person, but because Secretariat Elder is particularly set on self-restraint and observance of proprieties, he put himself in order and whipped himself into shape. It's not advisable to drink too much of this wine. Why doesn't everyone wait for a moment while I'll tell the cook to boil some soups to sober everyone up? Drink it up before you leave. I was just thinking about your residence's dough drop and assorted vegetable soup. Han Cheng forewent the formalities. Add some vinegar to mine. I'll drink it before leaving. Shenzhequan bowed and said, the imperial prison still has urgent cases to be processed tomorrow morning, so I won't stay. Everyone, please enjoy your meal. If time permits in the future, I'll invite everyone for another round. Han Cheng knew that he was indeed busy as of late and told him, when you previously held the post of the southern judge, the military craftsman kept a close eye on you. Now that you've transferred to the office of the northern judge, there's no need for you to rush between both ends until you are too busy to do anything else. The subordinates will remember your kind treatment of them and naturally won't make things too difficult for you. Shenzhequan uttered a sound of acknowledgement. Sen Yu insisted on sending him off. It would not do for Shenzhequan to decline, so they walked out of the doors together. It was raining heavily outside and everything was covered in a thick layer of fog. The drift of fresh air on their faces dispelled the wine-induced heat from their bodies, making them feel much more refreshed. Sen Yu led Shenzhequan down the stairs and said, to find time to attend the feast tonight, you must have pushed back a great deal of work. Not really. The urgent cases that needed to be dealt with have been sealed and finalized before today. Shenzhequan replied with a smile. Sen Yu nodded and said, that's good. Assignments cannot be delayed. Sen Yu accompanied him all the way to the gates and then ordered someone to hold up an umbrella and lantern for him. He truly valued Shenzhequan for his talents, but it was a pity that Shenzhequan served in the Jinyi way. Finally, Sen Yu said, all the cases in the imperial prison are major cases that not even the 3 judicial offices can interfere with. You could be said to have enjoyed a meteoric rise with this position, so you must speak with caution and act with prudence. It is often said that being close to the sovereign is as perilous as lying with a tiger. Those who can handle affairs in the presence of the emperor are all born intelligent and quick-witted. That said, you needn't worry too much about qualification, for you are already considered to have reached success in your youth. You still have time in your hand and a long way ahead of you, so remember, there is no need to be anxious about anything else other than your assignments. The Marquis of Dingdu is not a narrow-minded man either. You are bound to have to work together on missions in the future. The hatchet has been buried tonight with wine. Even if you cannot become soulmates with him, it's still better to be friends who can look out for each other than to fly into rage each time you meet each other. Lanzhou, I value your talent, and I hope that you will work hard and achieve success in your career. Sen Yu bared his heart out with such sincerity that Shen Zequan was wholeheartedly convinced. He bowed and Sen Yu helped him up again, saying, "The road is slippery on rainy nights. Be careful on your way. You may go." Shen Zequan draped the pristinely white fur coat that Liege Unhung had bestowed on him and bade farewell to Sen Yu. He did not get in the sedan but let Jiao Tianya hold up the umbrella for him as the master and servant pair walked into the rain. The two had not been walking along the streets for long when they heard the sound of hoofbeats behind them. Jiao Tianya shook the rainwater off before stepping aside, and as expected, they saw Xiao Qiye on horseback galloping towards them at full speed. Good timing. Jiao Tianya did not even get to finish his sentence as Xiao Qiye bent to pick Shen Zequan up and left with him. The water droplets kicked up by the horse's hooves splashed all over Jiao Tianya. He spread his arms open and slowly finished his sentence, "Want to drink some Xiaoju?" Xiao Qiye was well built. Even with Shen Zequan in his arms, he did not find it inconvenient at all. It was in this way that he hugged Shen Zequan as he effortlessly rode his horse away. The chest backing Shen Zequan was firm and muscular, as if it was an indestructible iron wall of silver. Lang Tao Shuijing galloped into the rain like a bolt of lightning flashing through the pitch-black rainy night. It trod into countless puddles of water, splattering them as it charged straight for the city gates. "Who goes there riding horse this late in the night?" The guard at the top of the wall raised his lantern and demanded. Xiao Qiye pulled at his cloak to wrap Shen Zequan under it before raising his own authority token. He said, "Open the gates." Vice Marquis. The platoon commander at the top of the wall immediately paid his respects. Then he waved his hands and ordered, "Quick, open the gates." The gates opened with a loud rumble, and Lang Tao Shuijing galloped straight out. With the night wind whipping against their cheek, Lang Tao Shuijing galloped faster and faster, while a circling gerfalcon charged out from the rain and followed closely behind. Shen Zequan held onto the back of the horse and said, "We can't go too far. Tomorrow morning." Xiao Qiye grabbed Shen Zequan's chin, pulled it toward himself and tilted his head to kiss him. Shen Zequan was not gifted at horsemanship, and other than Xiao Qiye, he had nowhere else to hold onto as they raced forward like the wind. With one hand pressing against the jerking back of the horse and the other clutching onto Xiao Qiye's body for support, there was no way for him to look at the road in front of him. The pitter-pattering rain wetted his eyes as they kissed. They had not seen each other for 7 or 8 days. Xiao Qiye embraced Shen Zequan tightly with one hand, pressing him to his chest as he kissed down along his cheek to the side of his neck. Shen Zequan's clothes were in disarray. The official robe beneath his white fur coat had been tugged open slightly. When he lifted his eyes, all he could see was the jet-black rainy night. The water droplets trickled down along the curve into his collar, drenching his clothes and even himself. His caresses wrinkled Xiao Qiye's robe even as Xiao Qiye made him gasp for breath. The rain poured even harder and noisier as Lang Tao Shuijing ran blindly into the night. The path in front of them was already hidden in the long, dark night, and the horse was like the lone boat carrying a pair of lovers on a secret rendezvous. Shen Zequan closed his eyes while taking all of it, shivering while bathed in sweat and rainwater. Xiao Qiye did not say a word as the horse's hooves trod on mud. The path was so uneven and hard to navigate that a few ensuing bumps and jolts caused the sounds to escape from Shenzequan's throat. Xiao Qiye was also sweating a little. Spurred on by the potent wine, he grasped at Shenzequan amidst this frenzy of pleasure, making every rise and fall hit just the right spot. He was in even more high spirits after drinking wine, and he used his strength skillfully by making Shenzequan incapable of resisting and unable to escape. Does the friction feel good? Seeing that Shenzequan wanted to lean away, Xiao Qiye clasped his hands and pulled him back in an embrace. Pressed against him, Shenzequan responded with a moan, "Mm." Xiao Qiye said, "Next time, I'll grind the right spot." Xiao Qiye stroked Shenzequan's earlobe and fastened an object. He pushed aside those drenched locks of his hair and kissed it. As Shenzequan raised his head, the jasper swayed with his movement. He dazedly touched the earrings. Several times, he opened his mouth to speak, but his words would turn into gasps for breath. As he rode on the tidal waves of euphoria, he gazed at Xiao Qiye with a contradictory blend of understanding and incomprehension. It killed off the remaining tenderness that Xiao Qiye had left. It was really bad for the spring days to warm up again after a cold spell, as this was the season to have fun. Scoundrels all like having fun. As long as they were together, they could create a stir where there was none. The suggestive look in their eyes when their gazes met and the tingle of numbness that sprang up their spines was so strong that they itched to tantalize the other into ripping apart the mask of decency. No one understood the debauchery taking place underneath their official robes. As long as there was no one else, they would show their true colors. End chapter.